information that likely would not have come at the meeting, but we asked for them to invite anyway. And I indicated, sorry for the confusion, but I reiterated exactly what we were asking for and gave them a 30-day extension. So that extension goes into September 4th. So we'll see what happens by our next meeting. So that's the update on that. Really nothing other than the 30-day extension. The next item is the fiber optic easement agreement that I emailed to you all. So this quick summary of what's been happening is we have sent it for review to our attorney, who read through it, had a few comments, didn't do a lot of work with it, or didn't have a lot of comments for change or edits. He finished his work, I passed it back to Royale for their review of the draft at this point, and we've gone back and forth a bit to reach back out to the attorney on one topic. And as of about 3 o'clock this afternoon, I think we have agreements on all the provisions between us and Royale. That's the document that I sent later this afternoon, the update from the previous one I had sent you. And so eventually I'm going to present a resolution for your consideration. Just to take you through the summary of it, because I want to make sure everybody's, I'm guessing you've read it, or at least the executive summary, but I want to make sure that we're talking that we're all talking from the same page. There's some slides here that I'll use to go through it. But again, in summary, the purpose of the agreement here is that it allows Royale to come in and install their fiber backbone basically along our Sunset Lake Association Road. Those roads, of course, are owned privately by the association. The traditional or the standard easements that are on the public right of way do not apply here, so we needed a separate agreement for this easement. Ultimately, the easement gets recorded with the county clerk so that it's documented, legal document and agreement between us. So anyway, the idea of Royale installs their fiber optic. They're going to follow our association roads. The easement is non-exclusive. We can allow others to use the same easement, the same space. And this one is specifically limited to fiber optic. And of course, there's no transfer of any ownership of association property that goes along with it. So the association controls a lot of the process. The Royale's got to submit construction plans to us. They have to document what it looks like before they go in, and so we can compare to what it looks like when they're done. They have to use Julie to locate utilities as appropriate. They have to maintain traffic and emergency access. That's not to say there might be some times when the road is blocked because they're working in a specific place, but they have to be able to move out of the way should we have an emergency. So I think we've got that covered pretty well. They've got to control just a general disruption that's caused by construction within reason. It is a construction area, so we've got to be reasonable as well. And that they'll restore to pre-construction conditions when they leave the area. Now, keep in mind, in some places where they have to trench, there's going to be a trench with some dirt, so it's not going to look like they've never been there. But they have to basically put it back in the general condition that started to go. We've got some things in there that just protect us and our community, our landscape, our water. So protection of roads, drainage, and culverts. We've got safeguards for landscaping, lake water quality protections. They do have to have a significant amount of insurance, and that's identified clearly in the document. Full indemnification for claims caused by their error, and then there's a 2-year warranty on restoration. So we've got a little bit of a look ahead window to make sure that they put things back the way Financial services and benefits. So currently they're paying us $1,000 a month for the space to have their tower, which has been removed a few months ago. When this is adopted, when it's signed, that will go to $1,600 annually. So we increased that a little bit. Part of that is to offset the cost for our voice over IP phone. So if you may recall that we put Frontier on notice that we weren't going to automatically renew the telephone contract. We want to switch that from a copper hardwire to voice over IP. That typically is, I think, $29.95 a month with Royale, and there's some legal requirements about telephone service that they have to comply with. So we will pay the $29.95, but this increase in the annual assessment fee is intended to cover that. That assessment starts at $1,600 for the first 5 years, and it increases a little bit. Maybe it's even only $100 a year each of the 5 years and each of the 5 segments of the agreement. The agreement is a 25-year renewable easement. Royal pays for any road damage. They pay for the attorney's fees that went into our work on this, so they'll reimburse us for that. And then Royal also has to prepare the final easement instrument that gets filed with the county. It's a little bit of a technical process, so rather than us doing it and charging it back to them, they take care of it. And then the other benefit here is for our member rates. As long as the agreement is in place, and again, the initial term is 25 years, member rates, what you pay for your fiber internet access, will be at or below Royal's lowest public offered Gerard rates. So if they go down, ours would go down. That rate may go up, but it's not anticipated that it's going to go up once it's in place. So
what is the rate?
40, it depends on what product you get, but the 1 gig fiber is $49.95, about $49. Maybe $49.95. So, yeah. But probably not for 1 gig fiber, but certainly not fiber because there's some fiber. But anyway, that's the benefit to the members. It doesn't show on the slide, but the association also receives free internet service for the office and the maintenance shed as well. So during the process, we have the right to inspect any of the construction, and we can stop the work if there's some issue that we believe is pertinent or requires work stoppage. We have to approve any changes to the plan once it's presented, and you can read the rest of those things there. Kind of this standard, we've got oversight over the whole thing. I think they'll be very easy to work with. We've met them here at the board meeting. I've talked with Joe on a number of occasions. So I don't anticipate any difficulties. This easement agreement is pretty detailed. It's 20-some pages long. I'm not sure that they're used to dealing with that level of requirements, although the public right-of-way easements do have this kind of stuff. It's a lot less complicated to get into that than it is to this. But the overarching approach that we've had is that we need to protect the association, and I think this document does it. Our attorneys share that belief as well. So, it's Byron Sims, who's done work for the association in the past, and I haven't received the bill yet, but I don't think he had to spend too much time on it because all the information I think he thought was pretty well available. So with that, it's been a journey. With that, the resolution that I would propose here, and I'll read it for those of you that have joined us now online. Sorry for the as a result that the Board of Directors Sunset Lake Association hereby approves the fiber optic utility easement agreement between Sunset Lake Association and Royal Communications substantially in the form presented to the board, and authorizes the president and vice president of the association to execute and deliver the agreement together with any related easement instrument, memorandum, recording documents, certificates, or other documents reasonably necessary to carry out the intent of the resolution. And further resolve that the president is authorized to approve and make minor non-material changes to the agreement and related documents in consultation with the association council, provided such changes do not materially alter the rights, obligations, or protections approved. So I would present that as a motion.
You're moving?
I move it.
I will second.
So we have a resolution moved and seconded. Discussion, questions?
No, other than a huge thank you, because I know that
Yes.
was quite a project to pull together and coordinate. So,
There were others,
yes, thank
and
you.
was in on this. Russ provided some insight as well.
I'm sure you learned more than you ever wanted to know about easement rights.
Yeah,
And we all learned things.
And we all.
yeah, it's there's a lot to it. In the end, I think it's easy to do. They do their normal thing.
Yeah.
Our rights to kind of provide oversight and keep track of it, I think it'll be pretty easy to do, and I don't anticipate any big questions.
I just know in Burden, when they did it, a couple people did have issues because things happen.
Yeah.
And they said the homeowner said Royal was very good to work with and took care of everything they needed to.
And I do
No
think
problem.
there's a benefit to them using their own crew as opposed to subcontracting like a number of the other companies have done. So,
And on the flip side, I did read on Facebook, somebody was having trouble with what you're talking about, third-party crew and never getting able to come and fix their issue in their yard. So I'm comfortable that we're doing this.
I'm going to do something here that I wouldn't normally do, but because of the crowd that's here today. Does anybody from the gallery here have any questions about this as well? Okay,
Not a question, or
Yeah.
not a question, point of clarification. Just because we're allowing them to lay their fiber optic lines, our members are in no way obligated to use their service.
absolutely.
Right.
That is absolutely correct.
Continue to choose who
Yeah.
you want your internet. So
You just now have another.
And as I said earlier, there's a suite of offerings that they still have. This is one this will now give them the ability to upgrade and offer that fiber connectivity all the way to the house. But they have other services available as well that are presumably already being used. You know, they've got customers out who are using other products.
Sure.
So. Any other questions? All right, so all in favor of the resolution as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. I will work with Rodney to get this signed, and I'll let Joe from Royal know that we've approved it, moving this forward. There are some things that they need to provide to us yet. For instance, the actual construction plan, which is where the lines are going to go. That'll be coming yet. There's a couple other things that are part of the deliverables. All right, thank you. All right, new business. 3 items here. I think originally there were maybe 2, but election process for past due fee. I think we talked about this very briefly last month, but I did a little more looking at this, and I think we need to probably dive a little deeper into how we stay on top of this. So we have, at this point, outstanding accounts receivable of $4,091.
Oh, that one.
So I will say there's 3 specific things that make up the bulk. One is the leaseholder who we have been taking care of their lawn care and billing them back at a with a service fee on it. So that's one big one. Probably close to 1,500 of that 4,000. We do have 2 leaseholders that have not paid their assessments for this year, plus the fines. But between those 3, it's probably 3,000. Yeah, probably close to 3,000 over 4,000. But what concerns me is that it seems that we do not have a recurring, regular communication with them, like a monthly statement or something to that effect, that tells them that they are behind. And I suspect for some of these, let's say all of them, potentially, they got a notice, they set it aside. If we don't go back to them, it's on the pile somewhere.
Right.
And it's not being taken care of. So my question is, and so I should also add, and most of the others are probably fines. And there are some lease transfer fees in here, it looks like. There's one really old one, probably. But I get why she wouldn't without us doing something about her, telling her to do that. But anyway, how do we, so my question is, how do we get our arms around this and get a process that gets these things?
Our office and manager, we pay salary for, needs to be utilizing the software that's available, utilizing the
Monthly
answers
report.
and accounts receivable, aging reports, and stuff.
Right.
Okay,
She should,
does she
I
know,
think
does she
she
know that? I don't know. I don't know if she's ever been told.
No.
I have not broached that.
maybe not, but
To say this, but I contacted last month to finish up a couple things in the minutes for 2 outstanding ones, and there was no knowledge of what lots they had been sent available.
Okay.
So I know that those are not being followed up.
So it seems to me that somewhere along the way, we should at least have a paragraph of something that says, here's what we as a board believe should happen every, whatever it is, every month, every month.
in terms of assessing if somebody gets fined because they violated a rule,
Mhm.
we'll send out the notice and the invoice at the same time.
That's, I don't think
Doesn't
it's,
do anything, I
No.
know better, but
so what we have rules, but we don't necessarily have process.
okay.
And that's the problem. I overall.
So can I ask, is she capable of reading our rules and developing her own process and bringing it to the board for approval? Like, this is what I believe I need to be doing? Tell me if I'm on the right track.
I suspect if she was given that direction, I don't know if she's ever been given that direction.
I think that's, yeah, we need to create a process for the monthly collections and
Well, and.
train her on that process.
Right, and I think it's maybe a matter of, we know that, and they will know that on the first of every month, I click here, run this report and do X, Y, Z, right?
Yes, my only point is that she's the one using the software on a
Right.
daily basis. And for us to take time out of our busy schedules to teach ourselves
I
and
don't
put
disagree.
together the process for her, like, she's here, she has the time.
Right. And my only point is, I don't know that she's ever been told that's something she should be doing.
And maybe we just need to ask her to, can you please do this? We're gonna empower you to come up with a process that you feel is appropriate. And then we'll review it, but give her the
Option to.
option to draft process.
I'm fine with that.
And even maybe ask, say, somewhere between what day of the month, you want to do this on the 1st, the 5th, 15th?
It has to happen once a month.
But it's got to be a recurring monthly thing on this date every month. This report is run and X, Y, Z happens.
Accounts receivable.
So can I, yeah,
Well, yeah, right.
can I assign this to the treasurer? It seems
Yeah,
appropriate.
seems like it falls, yeah.
I'll give you a little more information.
Yeah.
But I think we need to I think the overall issue is a process issue. We've got a rule, we don't have a process. I don't know where the process should have come from, who was responsible for it, but to me, we see an opportunity and we need to figure out how to.
And along
The
with
opportunity.
that, I think that
There's
there are
probably other
other
things.
things
There are
that
others.
G should be preparing for reports and
Yeah.
services. And I think you rely too heavily on the treasurer of the board to do some of these things that I feel personally. We're paying an office manager, that office manager should be involved with that process.
I don't disagree, as long as we're clear with her, what the expectations are, and I just don't know if that's ever been. So,
That was gonna be my question. This lady here, she did a job description for Ron. Is there a job description?
yes,
for-
there is.
So also I want to I'll look at those outstanding,
Yeah, what's that?
I'll look at those outstanding ones and see if we can clean some of them up.
Yes.
Because those police transfers, they got put in.
Intended to do.
Yeah, so I'll look at that and I'll work with you.
Yeah, and those touch base with Debbie.
Yes.
Because she knows of these.
Yes.
I mentioned the two of them, now I only see one,
Okay.
so maybe they have that. Anyway, thank you, I think that will help,
Mhm.
as soon as reasonably possible, I would like to get this out. And I'll leave it to you as well, these two, assessments that are done,
Mhm.
you know, if you want her to call them. or
Right.
Those we can jumpstart. Okay, thank you. All right, next is the annual meeting plan. So that is just really us talking about getting ready for the upcoming annual meeting, which is by bylaw, the third Saturday of October. And this year there's only 2 days that it could be early. So it's early compared to most years, Saturday, October 17th, I'm sorry. So in looking at some of the emails that I was able to find from the past, some WhatsApp and other things that went out, we need to get some information out here because I think that mailing needs to be sent by September 22nd, at the latest, which is only about a week and a half after our next board meeting, if I recall. I think the board meeting is on the 8th, but that'll come up here in a moment. So the mailing needs to be sent on September 22nd. We need to get some information out about board positions and receiving bios and applicants from candidates. I'll get to that here a little more in a second here. But based on the timing of and the request from previous years, it looks like around September 1st has been when we've asked to have those in hand. So that seems like a reasonable date, as long as we get something out here very quickly to solicit those. Is there going to be a final budget meeting? There's still a couple things.
Yeah,
open.
I guess. I don't know.
I think
Do
there
we need to
probably
have
is.
another meeting or I just need to put it together?
Well, we typically, and maybe we've done some of these a little bit, we did it earlier this year than later, but there seemed to be generally a budget meeting in the second half of August.
Okay.
And maybe it's just to say, here's the final, here's what we're gonna talk about, or here's what we're gonna present to people, give people a chance to come and ask questions about it. I think we probably need to refine those projects.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a chance to talk a little bit about just where we're at with that in bits. But so if we can just pick a final budget meeting date.
Okay.
Here toward the end of August, it could be frankly fairly late in August, I think. So those are the key dates, September 1st for the bios, for the board positions, the final budget meeting date to be determined, and then the mailing set September 22nd. On the right-hand side, there are the pieces that have gone out in past mailings. I think it's been consistent, but I could only find this list from 2024. But a cover letter from the president, minutes of the previous year's annual meeting, It should actually see minutes of the 2025 meeting, sorry. Sorry, I went ahead there. Minutes of the 2025 annual meeting, the agenda for the meeting, the official ballot that goes out, which will include nominations, or sorry, voting for the candidates. We're coming to that. Hold that question. Excellent. So there's the ballots and then the budgets related action items. And then it'll include the files with the candidates. That traditionally has been a mailing of physical USPS mailing. And the reason it's got to be is because we put the seal on all the ballots. So even though we have provisions that allow for electronic notification, we don't have a way to deal with those ballots that I'm aware of right now. So those are the pieces. All right, to your question. So here are the current board members. There's actually 8. Double check that your dates are correct. I think they are. So your term is up.
My second term.
Your second term is up. Thank you. Jenny's first term is up. We have a vacancy that was filled last year with Tim. That was a 1 year. So now it's back on the 3-year. So that will be, all 3 of those are 3-year terms. And then the 2 Anns and myself are 2027. And then Chris and Rodney were elected for the first time last year, and Val's in their second term. Your original term was a 2-year, right? You fill the vacancy?
Right.
Yeah, okay. So that's what it looks like. Those 3 vacancies we have, those 3 positions need to be filled. And I didn't give you guys any warning, so I won't ask you right now if you're interested in re-upping, but that question's gonna come up here.
I'll give you an answer now.
Yeah. What? That's the wrong answer.
Sorry.
And like, we still have to get on the ballot. We still have to get elected, right?
Really?
Really?
Yes, yes.
Danny and I.
You got it.
You
You'll miss us.
He's got.
At least.
Louise Monday said.
Yeah, I'm not, down the road, yeah, I'm not opposed to helping out again in the future, but my 6 years is enough now. I got a lot of.
Thank you.
Love the
work.
memories.
Yeah, too. I have, yeah, it's been a good experience. We've come a long way, but I just need it.
Okay, all right. So as I was thinking about this, one of the things that I think might be helpful, this is a might be helpful, is as we make a public solicitation for members to consider running for the board, maybe giving them an idea of some kinds of experience not qualifications, but experience or things that might be helpful for the board. My sense is that sometime when you say, hey, interested in running for the board, let us know. It's okay. But if you say, hey, we're really looking for somebody with whatever, finance background or some legal background or something, they go, hey, I could do that. And so I'm wondering if there are some things that we as a group would say, it would be helpful for us to have some people that might fit these, along with the general solicitation of really anybody. We're looking for these kinds of folks, but here are some things to think about specifically. So those are some things that I put up there, in terms of categories of people that would be helpful. Lake and water management, legal and governance. And this doesn't mean that we don't have some of those folks already, but legal and governance, finance and fundraising. The fundraising piece can come up, actually. Sorry, I pulled that from somewhere else. Communication and outreach, which, based on our last conversation, I think that's a big one. And then operations and project management, I also think that's a big one. Because frankly, we've got to figure out a way to spread the workload on the board. Well, we've got a few roles that just have a lot of work and others not as much. And so, how do we break those up? We talked a little bit about reconsidering our committee formation, how many committees we have, how they're broken up, and I think that's going to be a worthwhile exercise in the coming months. But so I put this list up there to get you all thinking and for us to start a conversation with this. Are there things that come to mind in terms of expertise or experience that would be helpful for the board to kind of target some?
I mean, I think you've got a good little start here. The only thing additional I could think of is like you're having both of you doing a lot of this permit reviews, like having a little bit.
If you have
of
construction background,
construction knowledge.
is that out there anymore?
I kind of, that's helpful to hear because in my mind, I kind of had that in the bottom one, the operation of management, but not necessarily, get general maintenance, experience in general maintenance, contracting, engineering, but I think construction is worth adding there. Anything else anything that's missing? And I'm going to also then ask, what do you think are the highest priorities?
They're all equally.
It's what they feel like they want to tackle, but they all are pretty.
I mean, law enforcement, nobody wants to be late patrols. So that's okay.
I noticed that.
You don't want to be the bad.
Nothing's going on.
Yeah, I know.
So let me ask you a question about that. Do you think there's people out here, not board members, but others here that would be willing to help with that?
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
There's also people that think, hands off unless somebody's really doing something dangerous.
Sure.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. there's
Because again,
Right, I get it.
yeah, right, that's what I'm going.
I know.
The committees, we could hire somebody to do that. We could appoint somebody. Well, that's it. I think we kind of, we forget about the idea that the committees are led by committee chairpersons. I don't think they were ever intended to be the only people on the committee. So reaching out and engaging people, you're maybe in the best position to do that right now, just because you've got professionals that are interested, you've got some other people. Right, so you can ban the committee, so I think that's a good example. What?
I agree, it's like, it's an outrage, for all of us to be board members and then we're all the committee members too.
Yeah.
And so I've been using some stuff from all of the.
Yep. And I think, again, as we wrap up this current term, but begin, at the end of the year, we'll be beginning the next term. That's a good place to be, is really to put some thought into how can we get some people to assist, whether it's the building permits and all of that stuff. It's Anne's not here, but it's leasehold management. That's a big piece of it. So I think there's some things we can do to make those committees a little easier to deal with, but also a little more productive as well. I think we had a good turnout for the sanitation committee when we
Yeah,
had
that
to do
worked out well.
we had to do the septic testing. So we've got some examples of that working well. It's just, we need to make it a little higher priority.
Well, and I think some of it is, I think there's a lot of people out there on the lake that want to help. I think this is where Ron's suggestion, I really believe in a communication committee.
Yeah.
If we can, oftentimes I just don't have time, but if there was somebody designated to help get that communication out to the members and sort of collect the responses, if you will, it would make it easier to get people to get.
And I would say a lot of people will help, but they don't want to be committed to a meeting. So like, board, so like you call and say, can you help Saturday morning? They're sure.
Right,
I was thinking the same thing. I'm willing to help. If somebody would come in specific, on this date, we need something, such and such.
right,
That's a lot easier to just in general say, oh yeah, I'm willing to help.
right. That's why I like this communication person.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can,
Because that's the hard part, is just getting the message out.
well, and it's one central location that we all feed into. They manage how it gets doled out.
Yep. Yes.
You know, when we get busy with our commit, we don't have time sometimes to
Yeah.
just do all
People
that.
pieces of it.
It's difficult.
All right, so, so what I'm hearing is it seems like there's agreement that maybe specifically identifying a few things where we can,
Yeah, if we lack anything right now, I think we could definitely do something better with the communication. Not only with general information for the members, but other, reaching out.
Well, I was gonna say, well, when we did that long-term planning survey, we asked people, what would you be willing to volunteer, and nothing's ever
it was,
listed, or
Was it a fill in the blank? Tell us.
there were people that said they would they don't willing to volunteer and things, but where was the list? I mean, I don't know where the list was ever
yeah,
presented.
it was, but,
Was it?
yeah. All right, we can pull that out, but
Yeah.
we've got a couple ways of going at this. There's also a few people in that survey that said they would consider the board. So
Right.
we can back with them as well, so.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take these comments and I'll put together a short email that we can send out to members here in the next few days. Within 7, because we gotta get it going.
Right.
We need we need them to put some butt into it and get us their bio, sort of letters. Okay. We go back one. Because I'm gonna reach out to, we're gonna need some help putting this mailing together. Obviously, Ruth Ann will do a fair amount of this, but particularly as it gets to the budget part of the balance in the package, we're gonna need probably your help.
Do you need the minutes from last year? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, we can come up with those too. I think you have those. So anyway, we'll need some help pulling together the pieces of this, I think, and we'll let you know as we get closer to it. Okay. So yeah, that's the main part of that. And then budget planning status, I don't know, do you have an update you want to just briefly give?
I mean, I'm just plugging in numbers, and the one thing that we were wondering, Michelle, on the big items, we were wondering how to include that. You have to have that as an approval. Does it depend on the amount of money? I can't remember how that's listed out.
You, typically with your assessment money that typically you do a balanced budget.
Right.
Now, if we know we have big capital expenditures that we want to do, and we're not going to collect that money with our assessments, then we may need another vote on the ballot to move money from reserves to be utilized for a particular project in the coming year. Now, normally, the times that I've done it, there's been a footnote within the operating budget that says that the board is authorized throughout the operating year to utilize up to $25,000 from reserve funds. That, as we deem necessary.
Okay.
If we need more than 25, then that takes some. But that's normally how it's been worded in
Yeah.
prior years. That's not to say that that can't be reworded. However you word it, that is what you're asking the membership to approve.
So one of the questions we had is, so we're a little bit, we see how much money we have. You know, we look at our pensions of almost $350,000.
Right.
It does seem a little difficult going to membership and saying, we think we need an increase in assessment when we're sitting up $350,000. But as we've worked through the budget planning to this point, the projected expenses are more than the operating income, the 350 plus the miscellaneous income.
Okay.
So the question is, we think, I'm trying to choose my words the right way, we think that it makes sense to propose taking some of the money that we have in the reserve and moving it as, may not be the right technical term, but as additional income into the operating budgets
For operating expenses.
Which
Because you can't
will-
move money from here unless it's going to Lake and Deer.
Right. Right.
Yeah, you got that right. Yeah.
So so here's the question.
And you might need to transfer some from each.
That's right, because there are some lake and dam expenses as well. So the question is, if those all show up in the budget report that we propose, do we need a separate resolution to move money from the reserve to the operating budget when it shows in the budget that we're presenting?
I think if it's shown in the budget that you're presenting and it's clear with
That's clear.
kind of some explanatory comment or something, then I think you're fine. I think you still want to have a footnote that says you can tap into reserves for emergency
Sure.
purposes.
You need to
Maybe
have that.
maybe lower that, maybe it's not.
Yeah.
Set ourselves at 50, whatever, but
Yeah.
you know, you have that one big storm and you're.
Have it all right.
You confirmed what my thought was as well, as long as it shows in the budget that's adopted and it's clear where the money's coming from.
Mhm.
We can have
The
one
tricky
resolution.
part is this cash account. So that's always going to kind of have to be a manual adjustment to your budget to
Yeah.
actual reports.
Yeah,
Right.
um,
Right.
Unless. Because you can't really.
although like, how do we do that and have a zero, or have a zero balance, or have a zero
I
balance?
have adjusted the expense figure,
Because you can't add that to
but
income.
you can't add it to income.
Right.
That's the problem. So you're gonna probably have to manually adjust your
Okay.
to actual, and again, those don't have to be monthly reports, so I think you can just do them quarterly.
Yeah.
But that's what.
We can pursue this more as we get.
That information I can get.
But that's the general thinking right now. The direction is to probably not recommend any adjustment to the assessments, but to use some of the reserve funds that are probably excessive to offset some of the operating expenses because our traditional operating revenue is lower than our expected operating expenses. Okay.
Yeah.
So we can keep moving forward in
Yes.
that direction. I think that's another reason to have that upcoming budget meeting.
Yes.
I would kind of put the head by then. And then we also talked about instead of, so for instance, if we had a project that was, we had a project that it's not a budget.
Mhm.
If we had a project that would replace the floors here because it's kind of a one-time project, rather than including that in the meeting hall maintenance section, and we actually would move that down into a special project section have a budget for special projects and then list what those projects are. We can just go into more detail.
I would just.
You do.
I would prefer, but
But the problem is if we put it in, like, the alternative, next year when we look at operating expenses for the hall, they're gonna be grossly out. Because we had this one big thing this year, in the last 5 years, it was like this until we replaced the wall. So I think that's more of a conversation. But I think that you're right, there's probably pros and cons.
Yeah.
So, all right, so that's yet to come, but we need to get a sense of direction on that here in the next couple of weeks. Anything else you want to add to that? Otherwise, the budget's pretty well.
Yeah, I was trying to get it all better.
So there's 2 items related to budget that, this maybe seems like the right place. We have this is yours, we have a bid to dredge the Pine Pond, for next year. And the question is, kind of what's my initial question for you, do we need a separate action item for the annual packet? And I think the answer is no, as long as we include it clearly in our budget.
we clearly designate that we are
We're
moving.
gonna spend 45,000.
Prior years, that we didn't spend basically. Now we're gonna spend.
Yeah.
So
we're
it's that
gonna
big
spend
over the
100,000.
operational.
We're gonna move here.
And we would show it,
Well, this blue column would cover the shortfalls in your operating expenses. This one would cover shortfalls in your like.
yeah, so we would just show it down at the bottom of this, in the other expenses.
Yeah.
Like we did right there.
Right.
And have them approve that number, so we can know what that number is gonna be. And the biggest number you currently have is the number we put in, or a little higher.
No, we went
because-
higher because
Because,
it always.
yeah, whatever the right number is, because it's only gonna go down from there if we get another bid. So that'd be the worst case.
We can put in at 46.
We just need to make sure we account.
This is my distribution.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, yes, yeah.
Yeah,
That's right. That may not be the right number.
yeah.
It's not the right-
I was actually gonna ask for 50 just to cover.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, number, okay,
Well,
just related to that
to
specific
that
project.
one
Yeah.
project.
Yeah, just that one project.
So when we have the next budget meeting, let's make sure that that's the place we can make sure there's no change. Okay, anything else on budget planning status? Any questions anybody has? Oh, sorry. One other. I'm gonna wait on that one. So that's, no problem.
Did we set a date for that or we?
Well, I was looking at either August 24th or August 25th.
August 24th is 2 weeks from today, 1 day, it's on the Monday, so
Monday.
13 days from now. 13, the 24th is 13 days from today.
Or even, I guess, the 26th.
6th today.
Oh, anyway, that week. I just can't do Thursday or Friday that week.
26th.
Can't do the 6th.
26.
Okay.
At what time?
So we do 6:30 or 6. I mean, what's the earliest?
Let's just 6:30,
6:30, is that okay?
and people can keep that. All right, thank you. All right. Let's move on to committees and other reports. And I'm going to do this differently tonight. I'm just going to ask who has a report. So Rodney, you have one?
Yeah.
Val has one?
Yep.
And Jenny?
Construction, was quieting down a little bit. I could approve a garage for lot 246. There's a couple others in the works, but right now they're just consultations and Now, do you want to do the septic side of that?
Sure, on the sanitation, the good majority of our members have already turned in on the septic forms, some have not. So please, those that haven't, please get them in. It's been a really good response, really good.
Yes, thank you members for following through with our asks and state requirements for the septic tank inspections. There's a few outliers in there that we need to work around, but we're getting there. We do appreciate it. We know it's a headache, but
Let's follow up with those that haven't, and I
yeah,
mean, the goal is to get the information, right? Stay away from the fines and all that, let's just work with people.
yeah,
That's, okay,
yeah,
right.
we'll get through it.
So next meeting, though, can you be,
I have a
Should be-
list of everybody that's already applied.
you know roughly how many percent applied?
It's just, I haven't had a chance to see versus our members.
So next meeting, I'd like to know that.
Yep, to give it to everybody, I'll send it out in meeting.
Okay. Great, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
All right, back to you.
That's all I have at this time.
No name changes.
Nothing
Correct,
yet.
okay.
Nothing yet. There is a bunch of stuff upcoming, so I got a little lull this last month, but there's a bunch of stuff in the pipeline, so I expect it to pick back up this week. So,
Okay. Val?
Okay. All right, so on August 4th, we had a letter sent to the members about the higher than normal telephone reading, and that was in code F lots 50 to 56 in code JJ, lots 223 to 244. And these codes were retested and the results were normal today, so that was good news.
Will that go out to people? If we did we say anything about it, we would let them know? It
Yes,
seems like
yeah,
it should.
yeah, I just got them.
No, I think all of them, so it's really answer. Yes, thank you. It's not a why isn't it out there? Just is it going?
everybody like,
Say, okay,
Right.
so, and then I did send out an invite to everybody because we're gonna have another get together at my house where Professor Don Ferry is coming back. And he has been such an amazing help. After our last meeting, he wrote up a huge paper on how we can improve the fishing and, I mean, he just gave a preliminary evaluation of Sunset Lake, is what he did. And then I gave him all of our second reports since 2018. He put those into the AIs, just gave us all the data back, graphed. Our lake is, the clarity of our water has been maintained since 2018. It's really good. He was very impressed. He came out here August 2nd, and I walked the retention ponds, drove around the lake with him and Brian Maroney, and I showed him our birch pond that we have destroyed. It really looks nice. Really looks nice. He was really impressed with the job. And, so he's gonna come back August 22nd, and, you know, all of his reports, I went ahead, I got the DNR report, I gave that to him, so he based his evaluation on what members said at the meeting, what the DNR said, and what I related to. So I put this report, DNR, I put the preliminary report, I put all the secondary reports. They're all on the front desk in the office. I hope to get them out on our web page, but it's a lot. So I didn't know how far we want to go on.
It's
And
easy,
then,
it's easy to post. It's just a file, so it's easy to do.
okay, it's a lot of papers, so. Meanwhile, he is asking for some volunteers when it comes to the meeting, and I'll let him describe it all, but basically he wanted to get people with their fish and depth finders to log in, and he will make a map of all of our lakes bottom, the depths, and he will give us all maps free that we'll need. So we'll need volunteers, and he'll take, I guess it's got a little mini microchip and fish finders, and you can just, he'll give that on the website and you take that information. it's a project he's kind of curious to do and try, and then he wants to try it on other lakes. So we're kind of experimental, and then his students would come and we'll decide on if the depth's different, like, where's the sediment coming from, you know, these things, and it's just gonna be a big, it was very interesting
Interesting.
what he wants to do. So he did get a lot of volunteers from there.
So it's a free compilation of information for us, and it's a big, huge experiment for him and his students.
Yes. But he only learned how to, yes, drive around and stuff, and figure it out, so, let's see, I see it up here. There's the one. Well, I do have to thank, Daryl Banker, Patrick Creighton, Brian Maroon, David Maddox, Mohan, were busy, they were really busy after the meeting constructing fish tractors. So they did that, and then, of course, we had Jenny Buell, Paul Patterson, John Fox, and Brian Maroon again, go out and drop the fish tractor. So there was 29 total, and so we do have coordinates. I do have the maps, these will go out to the members, hopefully tomorrow, we can get that. And these are on the front desk also in the office. So these will go on the website too. So that was done. And a thank you note will of course go out to these other members already written to, so that will be done. Oh, and then I was really happy, we got a $200 donation from a member, Joseph Roscoe, because he said he couldn't attend our get together, and, he wanted to help improve the water quality. So I had mentioned that I was wanting someone planting plants, and he's like, fine. And so we have that. And what I thought I would do is when we have our meeting, I will ask John Perry, the professor, do you have a better idea of plants or where we should put them, or, and ask the members there too, like, what do you think? So we'll just get some input and everything, figure that out. All right, let's see, what do you do? Oh, I will need, I don't know if I can do, I will need some budget allotted to buy my candy and water, or candy bars and stuff like that for the meeting, which is always under. So I don't think I have to say it here, do anything.
We can figure something out.
Okay. So tomorrow, this was kind of nice. One of the members, Brian Rooney, had a friend who had some dry dams built, and he got some help with government grants. And so he led me to the excavator that's all he does, is do dredging of lakes, ponds, dry dams. That's his whole business. So Dave Johnson and I are going to meet him tomorrow here at 10 o'clock. We're going to go around to all the detention ponds and, or, where is it? I don't know, yeah, I don't know, but he's coming to me. He is, got big contacts with the Boone County Soil and Water Conservation District and the USA National Resource Conservation Services. He's already called the county, gave him my number, and hopefully we can get government aid and ways to do this project. And, yes, so he will be giving me another bid on the pine cones, so that will give me the 3 bids for that. We'll show all of them. And the one that we still don't really know too much about, the professor was really interested in, the one way up north by Ed Simmel's property.
I'm really interested in that one too.
He looked at so many websites, like as you have, Zillow, Boone County, and he said, this to me appears this is your property. So I didn't know whether you could show this to anyone.
I'm torn because I would like to know about it, but I would counsel against it because we're not convinced that it's
I
not
told her
property.
you didn't know know,
you guys ago.
thinking about maybe having this survey.
Yeah.
So I would just, Dave and I would just show them the other ponds out on the north side.
You're talking about in the pipeline growth area.
I don't know who, help me, I don't know the names.
All the way down North Lake, down past my house, all the way in, we look at those two that got fall rain in it.
No,
If you look up here,
no, on the other
they're
side.
looking
My
right, this one right here.
past bronze to the north.
It's up by the cemetery.
Right. Yeah,
Is that still showing?
it doesn't show as anybody's property. It doesn't have any of the parcel information. It was an interesting day.
Who pays property taxes on?
It doesn't, well, I'm sure somebody does, but the county website doesn't show. We're gonna have, and our, I can give you just a moment, I'll show you what we're talking about, but, I would say at this point, I would suggest that, that you don't go there, just because we don't know whose property it
No,
is.
that's what I did, so,
Um,
so I'm really hopeful with this new guy, I don't know, can I say anything?
I need to guess. And the name.
Yes, I'll leave it in there, was Carrie Gibbs, Gibbs. But that's all done with my fingers.
So here's what we're looking at. So this is the church up there, Union Chapel. This is the end of the lake. And we're talking about this parcel right here. And you can see, I'm going to slide this over a little bit. You can see that in this drawing, it's connected to the shoreline, which we do believe is ours. Question about this. And here it goes, this piece goes all the way up almost to the road. And it goes way back here along this ditch, if you will, and feeds into, it's hard to see on this map, but right here is the pond. And there's a berm right along here as well. But you can see right here that there's no information filled in. If it were working properly, it would look like, you know, click on mine. It would, the information would be filled in. It would have a parcel number and other information. But when you get back up there, and there are a few other places on the lake where it seems clear that it's association property, but the parcel information isn't filled in. So it's gonna take,
There's,
yeah, we should be able to find.
Did it even have a parcel number?
It does have a parcel number
so when you click on the other side of the lake from your house, on that little, the easement, I'm gonna call it,
right here.
that's connected, and is that the same information? So like,
Nothing, because it's all thrown into one.
yeah.
So there's, yeah. See, it's very big. And it, most of the lake edge looks like it's ours, but this I think is very much a, in contention. So anyway, that's the issue. I would suggest not going there because let's assume it's private property. I don't think everybody, we can circle back, but
It's a big one.
There's a lot of.
there's a lot of it.
When we're back there, it's really getting a heavy sediment.
Well, I think that's all the runoff from it. All of this
Right.
is coming into here. This, I think there's a lot coming in here. There's no retention pond, but I think there's a lot coming into these from this field, particularly along this little.
I mean, again, to this point, how does one go about getting the proper,
On the property.
yeah, how do you go
We
about
would-
getting the proper information?
We would hire a surveyor. I think. Yeah, we have to go to the,
Does it show the rest of it?
yeah, yes.
And do we want it to be ours or not want it to be ours?
Well, I think we do want to control that
We
pond.
can control it.
It's that's my, we're probably sending a tax bill, getting or something.
Yeah, that's the question. I don't know, you know, and so here's the rest of his then too.
Right.
There's that piece and then I think there's a little piece right there. Yeah. So, and it says multiple places on this website don't rely completely on this as being accurate. So,
Right.
I think it's a trip to the county and trying to track this down.
Okay.
And I have to say, somebody smarter than me, maybe lots of people smarter than me know what those, you know, come back on.
Well, I mean, if we pay somebody just to call the assessor, it might be a,
Numbers. That's the place to start.
Yeah.
Say, help us understand this.
Mhm.
Because the county does have to have records.
I think it's somewhere that's gotta be
Yeah.
right.
So, all right, anything else now? That's all great opportunities.
Yeah.
All right,
am I next?
Jenny, you want to do yours?
All right, not much going on for the month of July. Total account balance for all four of our accounts, it's at $346,109.88. Not too much income because we collected all of our assessments short of 2. So our income for the month was at $1,437.19. Nothing out of crazy for our expenses either, just the regular utilities, payrolls. Nothing crazy about that. Michelle, you and I talked about this $1,080. It's sitting in grounds, temporary labor. I can't remember which way we were was that gonna go to miscellaneous? Or is it okay in grounds and temporary?
I mean, it's okay there, but it does make it like she had to pay temporary labor.
But it's really for the leaseholder. So I need to move.
Receivable from.
Okay, so I need to. And
So it's just when you're doing your budget. I'm just gonna look at them.
Yes, okay.
With it being on that line item, and yeah, miscellaneous. It's not critical either way.
Yeah.
We're aware. What's going on there?
So everything's pretty, what's that?
So I have a suggestion and then a question.
Okay,
So I'm on the treasurer, the budget versus that.
okay,
So page 13, top right.
okay.
Just a little ways down. Page number on the top, maybe the page. Line 4005,
Mm-hmm.
we're showing 1185.
I need to move that to a subcategory.
Which I'm trying, which leads to my second question. We had, I think, 1,200 or 1,500 budgeted for AV upgrades in this year, which I think we spent, and I can't tell from this, but I think we spent just under 600. My question is, we have some things in the budget for next year that are currently in the budget for next year, proposed budget, for office automation, particularly replacing the locks on these doors. Is it reasonable to propose that we use the unused money in this year's budget for some additional upgrades to this facility, specifically the locks on the doors, with electronic locks that can be managed remotely, should people need to get in and get out? I don't think there's enough to do all of this. The other part is to replace the thermostat so that it can also be managed remotely and scheduled and be much smarter about how to do it. So that's the question. Can we use the unused budgeted dollars that were to be used here
I would,
to do that so we don't,
yes,
so we can take it out of next year's?
I think so.
yeah, because it was approved and budgeted for, and we're still within the year. So,
Yeah, I don't remember if it said specifically televisions and AV equipment, but I just want to make sure that
yeah,
you're okay if we go
I
up to
think
that
so.
budget with some of these.
Mhm.
Do we need a resolution, and since it's approved, I'm assuming.
I think it was already approved.
So
Love you.
The budget is approved, so, okay, we'll keep that one going down that path.
Yes.
And I'll verify what those dollars are. I can look up that with them.
I'm just a little confused though, because we're over budget in our total.
We need to find out what all is in there.
What is it for? What line?
I don't,
Where you have
no,
one account?
if you look at this, we're over.
I did see that and,
We need to understand everything. So,
We're gonna continue this one even.
it was on,
I'm guessing building maintenance was the septic repair.
yes, that was what that was for. That's why we're over budget on that.
All right, so let's make sure that we can absorb this somewhere.
That's what threw us.
I mean, these are less than $300. Okay.
And what's the 1185, Jenny?
I have the one, I don't remember this one. I haven't looked it up.
I can look at all of those. 'Cause if
Yes.
you were to-
I had them noted one time, apparently didn't do it. Didn't move them all. Yeah, I got.
Okay,
So,
I interrupted.
no, I didn't really have anything else. It's really not a lot going on.
Or yeah, for the fiscal year, the long one was 15.
Right.
Money.
So overall, again, connecting this to the previous conversation about next year's budget, we're sitting at 346,000. You know, one of the things that I'm not aware that there's ever been a target or conversation. But, you know, I think as we think long-term about the budget, what's a reasonable targets for reserves? You know, is it 100% of an annual budget, 50%? Okay, yeah. It's,
Through some meeting minutes.
Yeah. and it's probably not 100% of an annual budget in reserve. That's not a bad thing, but it typically isn't quite that much for. So, you know, obviously, if you take out the 108 that is restricted to the lake and dam, we're still sitting on in 330,000, 340,000. Sorry, $230,000, which is higher than our operating budgets. So I think that's part of our long-term strategy, thinking that it's going to help us determine how far we can spend that reserve now before we have to look at it. Right. Okay. You good?
I am. Nobody have any questions?
Commissioner Club, any report, anything?
Labor Day, Pokemon, September 5th. They're having a fishing tournament that weekend as well. We're gonna do a food drive like we did last year in November about for our food pantry. Christmas walk is December 2nd, looking for hosts. We'll have the mega raffle drawing immediately after, and they're for sale right now, and it's our biggest fundraiser for fireworks, so need all the support we can get. And then she texted me back and said, more details coming on fishing tournament, if anyone had a question.
Excellent, thank you. Do you know how the sales are going for the mega?
Honestly, no, I don't, because your meeting is a week before our meeting.
Yeah. Okay,
The fishing tournament will be the same day the poker runner will be.
That's Saturday.
The poker run. You know,
And she said that weekend as well. I wouldn't think you'd want to be out fishing when
it's actually wrong every day. If you said do it in the morning.
They do it in the morning. Yeah. I don't know, Collins.
Just like that, don't.
Usually it's away and like.
Well, the book run does set, I mean, the tickets go on sale. And the girls are out there again. I volunteered them again. So,
could I pass on an observation that a new person gave to me? And that is that they're interested in some of the events, but being new, they don't really know what they are and how they work. So fishing tournament and even the poker run, what is it? How does it work? If I wanted to do it, if I'm a new person, I don't want to just wander around and wonder how it works. So anyway, a little more detail for those maybe that are new. Okay,
I will pass that on
Yeah.
next week.
okay. All right, yeah, thanks for your report, and thanks for being here to do that. My report, just to run through a number of things here. Emails, I've sent a couple emails about political signs. I sent an email about burning things that you take to the burn pile instead of just leaving them for somebody else to take care of it. I received one response from those three. So we'll keep an eye. There you go. So we'll keep an eye on that, but just keep in mind that political season is picking up. And so this issue of political signs is potentially going to come back at us here. And our rule is pretty straightforward. So I'm assuming that for most people, it's just an awareness thing. Roads, we're working with Bob from the township. If you didn't notice when you came in, be careful going out. There's big piles of gravel in the lot now. That was all delivered in the last few days. We'll be making arrangements for oil and shipping, which I suspect will take place sometime in September, October. Our primary focus is on the west side, although there's a couple of cleanup places. We're also looking at expanding the curve further down here toward your house, just past your house on East Lake.
That any conflict with, oil.
No, we'll be able to work through all of that. Yeah, we'll be able to work through that. Some member concerns, got some communications about no wake signs, which is interesting to me because the ones that are there have been there for like 25, 35, 50 years. But they're saying that I got a few comments about the wake signs. My approach is, and that money's budgeted, by the way, my approach is to replace the ones that are there right now, not add new ones at this point. But I think we are going to have to talk about that, both additional signs and additional buoys, or on what basis do we put a buoy somewhere or a sign somewhere? I think that's the question. So anyway, those signs are not ordered yet, but they should be in the next week or so. I've got an inventory. Yes, I found the missing no wake buoy. Let's assume it had floated.
Okay.
Not convinced it had, but it did break. And we've got it in the shop. Not sure if we can repair it. Because, well, there's one recently and one I heard has been gone for quite some time, like years. But
What's the recent ones missing?
the one that would be at the end of the cove where your boat is. That's the one.
Because it's just suddenly disappeared.
Right. I found it and I captured it and took it back. It weighs about 150 pounds at least, which I'm glad nobody was videotaping me trying to get it. Yeah,
There's lots of rain.
I got it going up and then the rope slipped off. So, but anyway, it broke off the bottom. The cap on the bottom is attached, and the bottom 2/3 of that are filled with, I don't know, concrete or something really heavy. And I'm not sure if we can cut it off and get a fitting on the bottom. Anyway, we might have to buy new ones. New ones are like
I was gonna
$400.
say they're
Dang.
They're not cheap.
they're
But-
pricey. That pipe, it's the PVC pipe for man. That's expensive.
Yeah. The other one I think that we're talking about is in your cove. That one hasn't been there for a couple of years. It's last year.
Was it-
There is one in the shop, and I believe it's there because it can't be repaired, but I don't know that. I suspect it's it.
We don't have issues back there, then we
Right.
we can
And,
have it back.
and that's where we go back to what coves get them and what don't. So
Sac Creek and PVC.
I'm contemplating that too.
Didn't we make those buoys? I remember, I've been out here long enough, but I think that we made those.
I believe
We contracted with the company to pay for the raw pipe and fitting.
With
I
my
think we made them. I mean, they're expensive.
Yeah, but they're not crazy.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a look at all that. First, we're gonna see if we can repair this. I'm not sure. Okay, we talked about that, budget planning, we talked about that. I do have a couple of complaint forms here that I'll hand out to the appropriate people who actually are here today, but, another one about mowing, shoreline regrowth, dead trees. Anyway, we're gonna work on that one. Now I'm gonna give you this one. This is somebody who's got a concern about where we dredged last year, and it's a major weed problem according to their complaint. So if you could take a look at that one, and then, the no wake area sign missing in Big Bay. I had to write them and ask what Big Bay meant.
Yeah.
So
On the bay now.
that one, I think I know what's happening.
I did address a complaint on a silt fence. I called the construction company, they took care of it. So just so people are aware. We do track those to the best of our ability. And we do appreciate if you do notice a silt fence is down, let us know. Most of the time, it's a simple phone call.
We've had some really good contractors this week.
Yeah, they've been excellent. I mean, the guy was right at it. He's like, I'll be out there tomorrow. So.
Hey,
Um,
will potholes be fixed like on the less improved before we oil and chip? Because I was driving over the roads, I was never so neat.
I hope so.
I would assume so, but can you send an email to Chris?
Okay, and
She
then
does
the
look
other
at
thing
dams.
was there are one fairly large tree going on the dam that needs to be removed because trees are terrible.
Well, the good news is Chris does that too. So when you send a, well, she'll send it out.
And
Obviously, take care of both
we
of
have
them.
3,000 trees.
Yes.
It's not huge, it's probably 5 foot, but.
We need to find out about the tree that fell.
There's a couple.
But, yeah,
There's another one laying down too.
we need to get that handled.
Okay, anything else for committees? This is the time of the meeting where the guests can be recognized. They're all by themselves. They're gonna miss their opportunity. And three, guests, is there anything that any of our guests would like to speak to?
Yes, I have a whole list.
Please state your name and lot number. You don't have to go over there, you can just.
Okay, Dave Johnson, 49. First of all, whoever volunteers to mail the year-end ballots, you want to check with Gerard Post Office first.
Oh, you looked at the
I
last.
volunteered last year, and it took almost 2 hours to wait on. The postmaster told me that if you go to Elmira, I think Gordon, that the problem was they had to weigh each individual envelope. The other places, they'll go through them and, you can tell by basically, there'll be 200 of them that are single, then you have the ones that are doubled or whatever, and they're a different price. They can do them all at one, they can do 170 of them at a time at that rate and then do the others. That takes a lot less time, just to remind.
So it sounds like we should keep multiple stacks, the singles and the
We can
double.
break them up,
Okay.
we did there with each one, and then you have to, then of course, somebody come give us my stamp, he's got to stop, put it in scale, and,
Okay,
but the postmaster, because,
thank you, thank you.
Yeah, one some
Okay, now let's visit.
I have a question about the leasehold property, which I had that 1 year,
Mhm.
and also about headaches. What's our rule for having to remind people to mow their yards and clean their leaves up? How many times do we tell them? Why should we have to remind people to do that? When there's a 6-inch limit. I ended up sending, Chris, it was Chris, or no,
And
I had my dip in, the handle went to 18 inches. That was one of the lots next to our bank there that everybody tries to keep clean. It was 18 inches high. She did getting a hold of it. They took care of it, and they're doing pretty good. There's another one that we had to contact last year about leaves and mowing, and I think you even dealt with the 1 year next to us. We shouldn't have to do that all the time.
Right.
Okay? So I'm just,
So,
we need
Was
to
there a
address,
question?
we need to address, and that goes with your thing with fines or how you're going to get on people each month and follow how, you know, somebody said something. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
Potholes, just on the north side. Potholes that are several inches deep, anywhere from 12 to 20 inches across, that need coal patch whatever. And back down the county, those guys do miles and miles of them, they fill it out. They don't back over all the time. As we drive across it, we see them. There are places where they put coal patch in, culverts where they back it down, that's great. So those need to be addressed. The burn piles. There are two individuals that throw their boxes and like
Stuff.
potato chip boxes and whatever, but they're mailing the boxes that they get that have scent and their names are on them. And they throw them in the pile and they sit there when it's dry and then it rains and then they don't burn. And it's like, do you have to call them out about it? I mean, this is just something stupid.
If you see that, could you just send me a picture of one of those boxes? That's how I reached out to this other person and sent them.
I stopped the other day and told my wife, I said, no, I can see what the stuff was. And I said, this is so-and-so. I walked over there and sure enough.
Yeah.
So
Just
if you're-
let us know.
Both ends,
Because we are following up as we get those kind of complaints.
okay?
Thank you.
I think we talked about the, putting the rocks on the, we dumped 2 loads of rock
Oh.
behind the actual dry dam.
Yep.
Where it comes out of the field where the members dumped through their type of tile in. That was all disturbed, and we had a big truck run through there, Tim, before he passed, and fixed all that. We put the rock on both ends, we still need to move that out. You and I dumped those pretty good load on both ends.
Yeah,
And then, I was talking to John Cannon, the rocks we pulled out of the field, we were going to use those on the burn, because when they did the burn, the pond was empty, and now it's up, so when the water's up, right now, you're just seeing a little bit on each side of it, in the center. So we had talked about, we need to put more rock on top of that, so that keeps the water back there for a while it kind of rolls. And you can tell when it rains good, that the water coming out of the dry dam area in the back gets into that front pool there where we've got the burn. You can tell that water there from each stage gets cleaner as it comes to the lake. So it does all that stuff back. So we need to get that done. Those are going to be volunteer things.
Yep.
And Tim had got some grass growing on that approach to that burn across there. So we need to try to figure out how we can get that done without tearing up and having to reseed that.
now can you put that on your list so we can get you volunteer? We can,
Yeah, I was looking at the 15 points and stuff.
Yeah.
We could ask for volunteers. That's actually, we're gonna get into
Right.
and haul rocks, just, you know,
yeah,
and just literally come up there.
you will next. But if you could just put on your list as a task, then we can figure out how to all get it done. I just want to make sure somebody's keeping us on track.
Yeah,
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
And then also the pine pond, we have bids on it, and the fellow's not coming look at it. Last year, before we actually started on the birch pond, the overflow tube on the pine pond, the water level wasn't up to the top of the tube, that actually has to go through there into the lake. And you could hear water run. And so we went over and looked at it, and there was water running down the inside, the outside of the actual corrugated tube that went down. So I got a hold of John. This was 2 years ago, before we got the pond started. We put a 5 or 6 foot piece of PVC pipe with a collar on top inside the black corrugated pipe, and that slowed the water down. And I'm sure part of the water that was leaking, you know, to take sediment, wherever that was rotted or worn out, where it was leaking, has kind of subsided some. That was something we had Gabe Carey. Gabe Carey said, with the amount of water that wasn't, it slowed down. That wasn't a big deal right then, but it needed to be addressed because the water going down the side of that tube, which goes under the road over to the lake. If that gets doesn't get repaired, the water's going to eat away around that pipe under the road. At some point, there's going to be some, it's not going to be this falling off the side of your thing like California, but you're going to have a spot. So those are things that through past things that need to be done, like we put the drain tube in from the neighbors. The new neighbors have alarms there. The Victoria, the 49A, and across the streets, like right here, for the balls. We put that tube that went across the road, and there's a 24-inch cast iron deal with, get the water there down to the lake. There's probably a 6-inch dip in there that needs filled in with coal patch.
Yeah, I've noticed that one. It's getting worse.
It's like a belt start.
Yeah.
Or your truck, and it's pretty dropping. And we're
Yeah,
using
we can
it.
eat and stuff now with people
And,
driving.
well,
It's getting deeper.
I helped Dave Carey's guy work for him when we did that last year and filled it up and ran that with the truck, and then it's just filled down into there on the so. And those are things that need to be addressed that we kind of put on the back burner or had forgot about. So I don't want to headline any of those, but I'm more happy to help when it comes time to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Thanks for keeping an eye on all that stuff.
Oh, and I have one question. Is, if you can tell me about, is the complaint about the dredging from last year, is that lot 153?
No. The one that I mentioned here? No.
That was in the thought that
All right.
okay.
Anyone else from the,
You know,
I didn't say that. All right, let's do this.
Oh, time to go.
My dad, that's calling.
Oh my gosh. Flashbacks. Where are you? Where are you? All right, we have the next board meeting on the 8th and annual meeting on Saturday, October 17th. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Now,